In 1881, an engineer named Flinders Petrie pulled a drill core out of the bedrock at Giza. It was granite. Red granite. One of the hardest stones on Earth. Running down the side of this core was a spiral groove, the mark left by whatever tool drilled into it. Petrie measured the groove. The drill had cut 0.1 inches per revolution. Modern diamond-tipped drills, spinning at 900 RPM under hydraulic pressure, cut granite at 0.002 inches per revolution. The ancient drill was 50 times faster. Copper tools can't do this. Bronze tools can't do this. Nothing in the archaeological record can do this. This is core number 7. It's sitting in the Petrie Museum in London right now. Anyone can see it, and no one can explain it. Let's talk about what else doesn't add up. In Lebanon, there's a place called Baalbek. Underneath a Roman temple sit 3 limestone blocks called the Trilithon. Each one weighs 800 tons. They're lifted 20 feet off the ground, fitted so precisely you can't slide paper between them. The Romans built impressive things, aqueducts, amphitheaters, but their best crane could lift 30 tons. To lift 1 trilithon block, you'd need 27 of those cranes working in perfect sync. There's no Roman record of this, no fresco, no mention in any engineering manual, and in the quarry nearby sits the forgotten stone, 1,650 tons, the largest quarried block in human history. If you tried to move this on wooden rollers, the rollers would pulverize. Wood can't handle that point load pressure. The math doesn't work. So either the Romans had technology they never mentioned, never depicted, and never used again, or they didn't build it. Beneath Saqqara in Egypt, there's an underground complex called the Serapeum. Inside are 24 boxes, granite. Each one weighs 70 tons. Egyptologists say they held mummified bulls. But engineer Christopher Dunn brought precision instruments into those tunnels, straight edges, corner gauges. What he found defies the hand tool explanation. The internal surfaces are flat to within 0.0002 inches. A human hair is 0.002 inches thick. This tolerance is 10 times finer. The corners are perfect 90-degree angles. When the lids close, they create a hermetic seal. The fit is so precise that air gets forced out. This is the tolerance you'd expect from an optical table in a physics lab. The official explanation: sand, copper tools, and patience. In a dark tunnel, with torches, maintaining sub-hair precision across a 70-ton block of granite. The statistical probability of achieving this by hand approaches 0. Now here's where it gets strange. Egyptologists have an answer for all of this. They say they had time, they had labor. Given enough patience, you can achieve anything. And for a long time, that answer worked. Then they found something that broke the model. In 1994, a Kurdish shepherd in Turkey noticed stones sticking out of a hillside. Archaeologists started digging. What they found shouldn't exist. Göbekli Tepe, a megalithic complex with T-shaped pillars weighing up to 20 tons. Intricate animal carvings, lions, scorpions, vultures. They radiocarbon dated the fill. The site was deliberately buried around 8000 BCE. Construction began around 9600 BCE. That's 11,600 years ago. 6,000 years before Stonehenge. 7,000 years before the pyramids, before the invention of writing, before the wheel, before agriculture. Hunter-gatherers with stone tools aren't supposed to build 20-ton megalithic temples. And yet, there it is. This is the problem. Once you have Göbekli Tepe, the primitive ancients model collapses. If they could do this 12,000 years ago, what else could they do? We're about to answer that question. If you want to see how deep this goes, subscribe, because what comes next changes everything. In 1991, geologist Robert Schoch examined the Sphinx enclosure. The walls show deep vertical fissures, rolling, undulating erosion patterns. Schoch's conclusion: this was caused by rainfall, heavy, prolonged precipitation. The problem? Egypt has been desert since 3000 BCE. The last significant rainfall was at the end of the Ice Age, around 10,000 BCE. If the Sphinx was eroded by rain, it predates dynastic Egypt by at least 7,000 years. Egyptologists rejected this. No civilization existed back then, they said. Then Göbekli Tepe proved them wrong. Here's the picture that's emerging. Around 10,800 BCE, something catastrophic happened. In a distinct soil layer across North America, Europe, and South America, researchers have found platinum, iridium, nanodiamonds, the signature of a cosmic impact. This triggered the Younger Dryas, a sudden 1,200-year return to Ice Age conditions. Sea levels rose 400 feet. 75% of North American megafauna went extinct. Any civilization existing at that time would have been devastated. What survives a catastrophe like that? Stone, the megalithic structures scattered across the planet. Baalbek, Giza, Pumapunku, Göbekli Tepe. They share precision that defies Bronze Age tools. They share massive scale and a timeline that doesn't match the history books. They weren't built by the Egyptians or the Romans. They were inherited. At Gobekli Tepe, there's a pillar called the Vulture Stone. Researchers have proposed it's a star map, a date marker, a record of when the sky fell. They deliberately buried this site, filled it with rubble, and walked away. Why would you bury a temple unless you wanted it to survive? Here's what keeps me up at night. The comet stream that likely caused the Younger Dryas, the Taurids, still crosses Earth's orbit, twice a year. Tunguska, 1908. Chelyabinsk, 2013. Near misses. Our ancestors weren't so lucky, and they tried to warn us. The stones are the message. We just forgot how to read them. They told you the pyramids were tombs. They told you ancient people were primitive. They told you history began 5,000 years ago. The drill cores say otherwise. The Trilithon says otherwise. Göbekli Tepe says otherwise. Civilizations rise, they fall, they forget. And then, if they're lucky, they remember. We've been here before. Now we remember.